There is a version of you that exists only when no one is watching. No performance, no calibration, no quiet monitoring of how you're coming across. Just you. Thinking, feeling, noticing, in the particular silence that only solitude can offer. And if you're honest with yourself, that version feels more like you than almost any version that shows up in a crowded room. That's not an accident, and it's not a flaw. But somewhere along the way, someone told you it might be. Most people who prefer solitude carry a quiet, unnamed weight. Not depression exactly, not social anxiety necessarily, something more subtle, a persistent, low hum of suspicion that something about you doesn't quite fit the shape of the world. You go to the gathering, you say the right things, you laugh at the right moments, and then you come home, close the door, and feel something release in your chest, like a breath you'd been holding without realizing it. The relief is immediate. And then, almost immediately after the relief, comes the question, why is this so much easier than being with people? And underneath that question, another one, the one you rarely say out loud. Does that make me broken? It doesn't. But understanding why it doesn't requires going somewhere most people never go. Here is what society taught you about this. That warmth is demonstrated through presence. That love is proximity. That a good life is a full calendar, a wide circle, a constant hum of social exchange. Entire cultural systems, from school seating arrangements to open-plan offices to the architecture of dinner parties, were built on one foundational assumption, that people are most alive when surrounded by other people, and anyone who quietly disagreed with that assumption was handed a diagnosis, labeled shy, awkward, cold, afraid. The word introvert helped some people, but even that became a kind of apology, as though the correct response to preferring solitude was to explain yourself, to soften the edges of it, to reassure others that you still like them. You're just wired differently. But here's what the framework missed entirely. The preference for solitude is not a deficit in social circuitry. It is, in many cases, evidence of a richer inner world, one that requires space to function at full capacity. You were never broken. You were operating in the wrong conditions. There is a concept in cognitive neuroscience called default mode network activity, the brain's baseline state, when it isn't focused on the external world. This network is responsible for self-reflection, creative synthesis, emotional processing, and the construction of meaning. It is, in a very real sense, where your inner life lives. Research has found that individuals who score high on measures of introspection and internal orientation tend to show significantly higher activity in this network, not because they are withdrawn from reality, but because they are engaged with a different layer of it. When you are alone, this network operates without interference. Ideas connect to other ideas. Emotions are processed fully rather than suppressed for the sake of social performance. You are not escaping the world. You are integrating it. There is also what evolutionary psychologists call adaptive sensitivity, a trait that appears across human populations where certain individuals are more finely calibrated to environmental input. Think of it this way. Imagine a high-precision instrument, a seismograph, say, designed to detect the faintest tremors in the earth. It is extraordinarily sensitive by design. That sensitivity is not a vulnerability. It is the entire point. But if you leave a seismograph running in the middle of a construction site, it doesn't produce better data. It produces noise. It overwhelms. It eventually needs to be recalibrated. Your preference for solitude is that recalibration. It is the mechanism by which a finely tuned mind returns to signal from noise. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as identity consolidation through solitude, the process by which a coherent sense of self is maintained, not through constant external validation, but through uninterrupted internal dialogue. People who rely primarily on social environments to feel real are, in a sense, outsourcing the maintenance of their identity to others. Every interaction becomes a mirror check. People who consolidate identity through solitude don't need that mirror in the same way. Their sense of self is built from the inside out. It is, by nature, more structurally stable, though it often goes unrecognized as the strength it is because it doesn't announce itself. This is what it actually means when you enjoy being alone. It means your inner world is load-bearing. It means you process experience deeply, rather than skimming its surface. It means you have built, probably without knowing it, a rich interior architecture that most people spend a lifetime trying to construct and never quite manage. It means you are someone who thinks, actually thinks, not just reacts, performs, deflects, or fills silence with noise, but genuinely inhabits the space between stimulus and response. That is not an affliction. That is a form of psychological maturity that the culture has simply not yet built adequate language to honor. You are not antisocial. You are selectively present. There is a profound difference, but this trait also carries a responsibility, and that is worth naming clearly. A mind that is most alive in solitude can, if left entirely to itself, begin to calcify. Isolation, over time, is not the same as solitude. One feeds the inner world. The other starves it of the friction that growth requires. So the work is not to become someone who craves crowds. The work is to design your social life the way an architect designs a building, with intention, structure, and a clear understanding of what you are trying to create. This means choosing depth over frequency. One honest conversation is worth more to you than 12 surface-level exchanges. It means building what you might call seasonal rhythms, periods of deep social engagement, followed by genuine restoration. It means being honest with yourself about the difference between solitude, that replenishes, and withdrawal, that protects you from something you haven't yet faced. It means protecting your energy the way a serious artist protects studio time, not out of arrogance, but out of respect for the quality of what can only be produced in quiet. And it means occasionally, deliberately, choosing the discomfort of presence. Not because you need to fix yourself, but because even the most self-sufficient mind is shaped by encounter, by friction, by the irreducible strangeness of other people. You have spent a long time wondering if something is wrong with you. There isn't. What you have is a particular kind of depth, the kind that doesn't broadcast itself, doesn't require an audience, and doesn't diminish in the absence of applause. The world needs people who can be still, who can think without performing thinking, who can sit with complexity long enough to actually understand it. That is you, not despite the silence you seek. Because of it. If this video made you think, leave a like and subscribe for more psychology content.